best friends and next door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is.
Hi, I'm Maddie. Nice to see you guys.
Did it so weird, but
What the?
enthusiastically, so
Well,
I
okay.
approve.
Well, you know what? You
Ah.
said and this is, and I was you I'm just not gonna just start with my name. All right. I'm gonna say either this is Maddie or hi, I'm Maddie. I feel like to just be like Maddie and like say that to somebody, nobody's gonna understand, you know?
I disagree 1000%, but you do you, sister.
Well, if you're just like Maddie or
You
Lillian,
you
like at
overestimate you
somebody.
overestimate my
You're not a
care.
Pokemon, Lillian. That's not how you introduce
I'm
yourself.
not. I feel like I am a Pokemon. Lillian, Lillian. And then I fall down and I go to sleep.
I mean,
What I do.
what would be your Pokemon typing if you were one?
Oh, I don't. You're going too far into the lore for
You
me.
don't know. It's fine. I'll assign one to you.
Okay.
You would
I want to
be
be the
a dark
psychic.
grass
Psychic one.
Pokemon.
I don't want to be a grass. Fuck grass. Well, grass is weed.
No,
That's cool.
yeah, you're grass because you're weed, and then you're
Yeah.
dark because look at you.
Yeah.
Although you know what fucking scared me? I called you because
Yeah.
I got Lillian's number, guys, recently. I don't know if you know this, but
Yeah.
I've been on this podcast since fucking February, and it took
Yeah.
until May for me to get Lillian's personal phone number.
Don't fucking
But you
perceive
didn't
me. That's why.
you didn't answer me,
That's
and
because
I
I gave
found
you the
out
wrong
your
phone number because I'm an idiot. I don't know my own
Oh
phone
my
number.
God.
Oops.
Well, apparently it belonged to somebody named Andrea. And I was like, is that Lillian's real name? Did I just I wasn't gonna say
No.
it,
Lillian
but I was
is
gonna be like,
Lillian's real name.
Lillian,
Legally. Yeah.
I
Lillian
see, I was
Asterius. I don't
see,
care.
you mentioned to me that Lillian was your real name,
It
and I
is.
was like, oh, okay.
You
But
were
then I
thinking I had
called
like
that
another
number.
alias? That's really cool.
I
I'm not
was
that cool.
really, I was really convinced that like, I don't know. I don't know what I was convinced of. I guess I just assumed that you lied to me because it's the internet.
Sure.
And speaking of the internet, terrible segue because this actually, the crime that we're talking about today, we are talking about Jeanette Ralston, um, and she died in 1977, which is before the conventional use of internet. I don't know
It's
if any
true.
of you guys remember. I don't because I wasn't alive.
I first got the internet in 1996.
I want to say that my mom told me that she used like a conventional internet connection for the first time the same year she was pregnant with me, which was 2004.
My God.
Yeah.
I already had kids by then.
Well, I mean, I guess so didn't my mom. I guess so does my mom, but yeah.
Whatever. So, okay.
Yes. So we are talking about Jeanette Ralston
Yes.
and so just heads up warning, these are going to be some very light and vague mentions of sexual assault. And I just want to actually I'm going to take a moment to complain about the research for this case. And part of the reason I was using the internet as a segue, because something I feel like we don't talk about enough is the fact that the internet hasn't been around for very long in the grand scheme of things.
This is true.
Um, so Internet 2.0, which is the current version of the web that we're using,
The dead internet,
is
yes.
yeah, it's suggested that like this was primarily created between 1997 and 2001. Um, so a lot of stuff that happened, basically all of history that happened isn't on the internet. And while we do have a lot of extensive records, not everything is moved over. I was actually trying really hard to find like microfilms. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm gonna say, like what I mean when I say microfilms, because even though that is in much older technology, it's not something people use day to day. But
I
it's
don't, I have,
basically
yeah.
yeah, it's
I,
basically like very, very tiny photographs. of like newspaper clippings and
Yes, and you
shit.
put them into a little projector thing at the library and you look through little goggly goos or onto a screen and then it shows you what it is. And
Yep.
it's public records. It is articles from newspapers and magazines and other periodicals. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically all microfilm is.
Hmm.
But not all microfilm has been uploaded to the internet. So I was only able to find articles about this case, and we're going to get into why there were articles about this case within the last few months. But I was only able to find very limited information, and I had to do a lot of paper digging to get the information I do have. So this is going to be a little bit light, but that's okay because it's important and we should talk about it. So without further ado, we're going to talk about Jeanette Ralston. So
But before
Jeanette,
we do that, I would
oh,
like to apologize because I just heard my voice. I have a lot of vocal fry today. I have some kind of sinus infection or something. So I'm going to try not to do that to y'all because I know I fucking hate it. So that's just a little aside, but please continue. And now I shut up.
well, oh, okay. I know that that was only a little side, but Lillian, honestly, I can barely hear a difference. Like it is, I think you are being a lot more critical to your voice than you should be. Because, like, I hear that you are, like, very, very slightly scratchy, but it just sounds like you're dry and not that you are, like, sick or anything.
I assure you I'm quite moist.
I don't need to ever know how moist you are
I
again,
meant in
Lillian.
my in my like esophageal
I don't need
region.
to know where you're moist, Lillian.
Well,
I'm
I wanted to make
fine.
sure
Thank
it wasn't
you.
anything untoward. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Jeanette Ralston was a 24-year-old mother in San Jose, California in 1977. So that was about 50 years ago, give or take, like 40, I think 48 if the math is correct. Oh God, I can't say that because my mom was born in 77. But her murder actually remained unsolved for nearly 5 decades. But due to recent advancements in forensic science, we actually got to arrest her killer recently. And that is great because unfortunately she did leave behind a son, and he was interviewed, I guess is the word I would use. Less interviewed and more like somebody took him aside for like a few questions as they were getting to the courthouse for it. But getting into some background, Jeanette Ralston was originally born in Germany and eventually moved to California, residing in Benicia and San Mateo. She was known as a devoted wife and mother to her young son Alan, who was 6 at the time. And on the night of January 31st, 1977, Jeanette was last seen by friends leaving the Lion's Den bar in San Jose with an unidentified man just before midnight. The following body, her body was her body was mourning. Her body was discovered in her Volkswagen Beetle parked in the carport of an apartment complex near the bar on Graham Avenue. Her body had been stuffed in the tight back seat, part of her clothing missing and disheveled. It was immediately clear that she had been sexually assaulted. Her long sleeve blouse was removed and tied around her neck, serving as an improvised weapon to strangle her with. At the time, they collected DNA evidence, fingerprints, soil samples. I'm not going to list off all of the evidence because doesn't really matter. And the forensics team took the absolute most care in taking evidence samples. However, despite extensive investigations, the case went cold with no arrests made for like the last obviously 50 years. While they had a lot of suspects, basically they weren't able to do anything except for clear people. What they did was they pulled the blood type from the killer's blood sample that he left on both the blouse and I believe the seats. And they were able to get rid of some of their suspects through that. But they were never able to get an actual DNA match. Um, However, in 2025, the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Cold Case Unit and the San Jose Police Department revisited the evidence using modern forensic techniques. A critical breakthrough came from a fingerprint found in Jeanette's pack of Eve cigarettes, which was a brand created in 1971, just as like a by the by. And that DNA evidence was collected from her, and evidence that was collected from her body too. And these forensic clues led investigators to Willie Eugene Sims, who was a former U.S. Army private stationed at Fort Ward during the time of the murder. Sims had a prior conviction for assault with intent to commit murder and had moved out of California after his release, avoiding DNA registration in the national database. So basically, he was out at the time of the murder, and then within a few months after the murder, he was picked up, which is likely why he was never considered as a suspect in the original case. And then he got out on parole and he moved out of California. Um, Investigators located Sims in Ashtabula County, Ohio, and obtained a DNA sample that matched the profile from the crime scene. He was arrested and agreed to extradition to California, where he faces charges that could result in 25 years to life sentence if convicted. And like I said, this is a kind of a short story. But I actually decided to talk about it as like a beam of hope that yes, even after decades, we can still give victims and their families peace.
Yeah, I
It
appreciate
serves,
that.
yeah, it serves as a really poignant reminder that cold cases can be solved, especially with determination and the like we're constantly evolving the forensic technology that we have.
Well, and I,
Um,
I like to point out a case that, like, kind of, I'm not going to say got me into true crime because I've been into true crime since I was a kid, but really kind of renewed my interest. And that's the case of Aisha Degree. A little update. I mean, her case has had an update recently, and it's from, the 90s. And the way it was left, it felt like it would just never be solved. It was so sad to me. 9-year-old little girl goes out into the night, never seen again. But they have made some arrests, I believe. So, like this year. And
Yeah,
I think
I'm
that's,
actually surprised. Like, there's been a lot of cases. Well, I would say a lot. I've read at least 5 or 6 cases so far this year that have been dead or cold for like the last 5 years or more. And I mean, they're making advancements. People are still looking at these cases even today.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a month ago, like warrants have issued, and there's like allegedly a suspect that admitted to her murder in Aisha Degree's case. So that's so rad because, I mean, it's sad that she won't ever be found alive, but I mean, I think if you listen to the facts of that case, it's pretty obvious,
Yeah.
um, in my opinion, that she has been gone. But it's just really nice that, and I'd like to do an update on some of the cases we've covered that have had updates because at this point there are some. And I think and I'm not so like up my own ass that I think this podcast will do anything, but it's always, I just want to keep remembering these people
Yeah.
because their cases are cold and it just feels like there's no attention anymore and they're just sort of forgotten. And at least if you're listening, we're all remembering them together and that feels good to me. And I think that's why I'm really passionate about cold cases.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. Part of what makes cold cases at least important to me is that even though that person is gone, they still have family that want to know what happened to them. And I
Absolutely.
think, and I also just like, I believe in justice. Now, I might have a little bit too rigid of a moral system, also a little bit too loose of one, but that's like a complicated conversation to have. But I do believe that people need to be punished when they do something wrong.
I
And
waffle. I
this really
waffle.
makes me want to ask you about like how you feel about the death penalty, but I don't know if that's
I
something
am
we can talk about on this
completely
podcast.
anti-death penalty. I am very
Really
stringently
interesting.
against it because racism. Until this country is less racist, looking like never, we don't need to be doing the death penalty and executing black men who are innocent because that has happened. One
I agree.
innocent person dying is too many, and it's disproportionately black men. So, fickety fuck that. No thanks. I think a moratorium should be called. I don't think that I don't think there's ever enough reasonable doubt for me to end someone's life. And I do not care how heinous the crime. And people could disagree with me all day, and they can also kiss my ass because we're also taking the death penalty and doing some weird, nasty shit with it with Project 2025.
That's
Okay.
very true.
We want to classify pedophilia and like child sexual assault as a death penalty offense, which sounds on paper like a good idea because I hate them cunts, right? Except they also want to classify gay and trans people as pedophiles. Do you see where they're going with this? Because I do. Writing's on the
Yep.
wall. And when people told me to calm the fuck down and not overreact when Trump got elected again, because this shit wouldn't go forward, he is literally doing the playbook for Project 2025.
Yeah, there's a whole website that you can like watch the bar go up. It's kind of disgusting.
And then people would climb up my butt about how you can't be political on a true crime podcast, but everything is politics. Get over yourselves and go be a melty snowflake out of my sight.
I mean, murder is political if you think about it.
Everything is political because we live in a political system that affects every aspect of our lives. And if you don't think so, I don't know what to tell you. Stick your head in the sand harder and leave me alone. I'm grumpy today because I don't feel good.
Yeah,
That's all I have to say about that.
that's fair. I actually still have more to talk about with this case. Like since it's short, I want to do some talking about Willie Eugene Sims. So like I mentioned at the time of the murder, he was stationed at the Fort Ord as a U.S. Army private. He was 21 years old at the time. And though there is no evidence suggesting a prior relationship with Ralston, their encounter at the Lion's Den bar appears to have been wait, why did I why did I write it like that? It appears to have been a chance meeting, but there isn't any whatever. It doesn't matter. I apparently wrote this when I was really sleepy or probably very blasted. Um, so Jeanette, I theorize was out. She was like I said, she's married. She is newly, well, I actually don't know about how newly. I can't find any of her immigration records as far as it comes to like her moving here from Germany. What I was able to find out was it seems like she did not have the happiest marriage, um, though she did love her son very much. So my theory is that she was probably out at this club specifically trying to forget about either her troubles at home or just to feel like herself again. Because, when you have a kid, you kind of also become an extension of them because people are going to look at you like you're always a mother. Um, she was definitely caught completely off guard by the fact that she was, with Sims. And considering he got convicted only a few months later for assault with the intent to commit murder, that actually suggests a pattern of escalating violence. It's very likely that there have been other murders or possibly girlfriend beatings. There's going to be some other signs of what this guy is capable of.
Yeah,
Um,
people usually don't murder first rattle out of the box.
yeah, like
There's always
it's
escalation.
yeah, you first of all, you always escalate. But also it's not uncommon for individuals who commit one brutal act to commit others under similar emotional or psychological conditions. It's possible that when he gets sexually excited, he wants to murder people. I mean, Jeanette's murder may have been the first serious manifestation, and she might be the only murder victim, but unfortunately, that's not something that we can be completely sure of. Like I mentioned, he was free for the last 48 years. And if he could murder once, who's to say that he didn't murder other girls that weren't missing,
I mean,
you know?
yeah.
Or, yeah. So one of the plausible theories that I read is that Sims, since he was far from home and he was under a really strict hierarchy in the military, I mean, I don't know if you know anything about military culture, but that shit's brutal. I think that he probably had like this need to assert control, especially over women. Because in 77, you are not going to be going into any platoon and seeing a woman in the ranks, especially not in the United States Army. Um, I feel like that's pretty obvious. And at this point, where he's at 21, he is like freshly coming off of testosterone coming in and getting his urges under control. And then you have that chance meeting, and bars are loud and intimate, and you're squished together with so many people. I mean, as previously mentioned, Jeanette was sexually assaulted. And since she was strangled with her own blouse, which is, kind of personal, I mean, I just,
I see
it's
it as more
often,
opportunity. Like often killers will use what's on hand. It shows me a lack of thinking, and it seems more of an impulsive decision to kill.
well,
Sometimes, but not always. I look at the case of like JonBenet Ramsey, for example, taking the paintbrush and using it as a
mhm,
garrote, and because the paintbrush was in the basement, and so
yeah,
I just think that sometimes they go in. I don't know what they're thinking, because I'm not a murderer.
I guess so. I like to pontificate about it, but I don't know if pontificate is the right word,
It
but
is. You're
yeah, okay,
certainly being
good.
loquacious about it. If we're
I
gonna use
don't mean
Scrabble
to.
words, if we're gonna use Scrabble words, I got them
Look,
too.
I would never have enough letters for Scrabbles for me to spell pontificate. It's just not happening.
Really?
I mean, you're never going to have enough letters at once to spell pontificate
P-I-F.
because you only get to pull seven.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
No pontificate for Scrabble.
No, no
No,
pontification. You
no.
can't do it. No, no, no.
You know what I've been doing
Um,
lately? I've been
what?
learning Victorian slang.
Oh,
Yeah. And do you know,
why?
don't ask, do you know that the Victorians had a touch grass phrase? They did.
Like the same way that we use touch grass or
Yes.
like
Yeah, no,
oh,
definitely the
wow.
same. They would say, go to
Good.
grass. Go to grass.
Go to grass.
Indeed.
Oh,
I mean, fuck
my
off.
Lord.
Readjust
The the sudden
thyself.
need to be wearing like a beautiful puff-sleeved outfit and like very long skirts and then to show off my ankle at a passerby
Don't show
and then
your
to shout
ankle,
at
you
him, "Go to
strumpet.
grass."
You trollop. You put that
Call me
away.
call me a trollop harder.
No. Uh,
Aw.
I
All
love
right.
like
Well,
Victorian fashion, not to wear, but to look upon. I love chatelaines. I want one really bad. So if anybody has one and wants to send one to me, that'd be fucking rad as shit.
unironically, I was looking at purchasing one off of Amazon today. Not
Gadzooks.
not that I have the money for that, but like I like looking at stuff.
They called catnip catmint, and that's cuter.
That is cuter.
It is.
I wish catnip leaves were like in the shape of cat heads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but we don't live in a Ghibli land, and it's just the shape of leaves.
Which should be illegal. Um,
What? Hmm.
well, I'm gonna keep going with this. Um, anyways, so the reason why I say that her being strangled with her own blouse is kind of personal is because not only would he have had to rip it off of her body in this case, but he would have had to wrap it around her neck and then hold her down like that. Now,
I mean, all
if
murder's personal.
I don't know if that's true.
No, I think some's impersonal, but like
Yeah.
sadosexual killings are certainly personal
Mhm.
to the killer. And if I think there's sexual assault involved and then murder, that's a sadosexual killing.
Yeah.
It's just so often in those that an article of the woman's clothing is used to commit strangulation, like pantyhose, underwear, bra, shirts. So I don't know if that makes it more personal. I don't think that she necessarily knew her killer longer than a couple
That
hours.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was stuffed into her own car, like I said, in the parking garage of an apartment complex. Now, what I don't understand is how her car got into the apartment complex, because that is not where she had parked that day.
Is that where
You,
she lived?
no, that's not where she lived. No, that wasn't even the part of town that she lived in.
Well, he just probably drove her
Um,
body in her car.
well, yes, but the thing is that apartment building, I mean, it was a parking garage, but you did have to pay to get into the parking garage. So that means that either he had already killed her and like her body was in the back of the car, and like in 77, I don't think they had debit cards yet. I might be wrong.
They did
I might be
not.
wrong on
They
that.
did not.
Okay, yeah. So they're carrying around cash. He would have had to speak to somebody to get into the parking garage. Because if it's
Or
attached to an apartment building, you either have to pay for it or you have to have a placard for it,
or they
you
came
know?
together and she was alive and he killed her in
And
the
she was
parking
alive,
garage.
and
Hmm.
exactly. I want to know which one of those it is.
Well,
Because
we won't.
yeah, according to the friends of Jeanette Ralston, she was parked in the parking lot of the nightclub when she got there. So either he had to take her car or they went together. But if they went together, why the apartment building?
He either lived there or
So
he
many
knew someone
questions
there or he knew it
or
would be quiet
something.
and out of the way. Maybe they were just going to go make out and this was kind of a private place to do it. Look,
Yeah,
when you're like wanting to make out in the car, I've parked in some real fucking weird places, just to be honest with you.
I
Back of a camera
I
store. Yeah,
I think the only
weird as fuck.
time I ever had sex in a car was uh I guess I don't know. I don't think I have.
Oh, I
I've
have.
given Roadhead, does if that counts, but
That
you're
does
usually
count.
driving during that. Yeah, okay, that.
Yeah, that counts.
But
No, I've had sex in cars a lot. And it's fine. I another weird place is the back of a funeral home. Who looks back there? No one. That's why it's safe.
why were you there?
Because it was
Did you
there.
just drive by it or
I was
and
like,
it's just like,
park there. Yeah, I'm goth too, so it fits, you
perfect.
know?
I've
But
always
I'm
wanted
going
to
to
do it in
end
a church
this.
parking lot. Well,
We're
no,
done
I'm
now.
not done. No,
Oh,
I'm not done. I'm still talking. I'm still I have like a whole thing. Um, so my actual theory is that he killed her in the midst of sex and that maybe the blouse, like he put it around her neck and she might have actually like been okay with it
I don't
because
think so.
she doesn't have any defensive wounds is why I say that.
Ah, perhaps.
She doesn't, I mean, or at least there aren't any in any media that I was able to look at. I
But
don't
see,
have the official police
some of
report.
this,
That's from
the
77.
issue is that some things do not get released to the public because it's an ongoing investigation. So I would hesitate. This is why I don't conjecture too much.
Yeah.
Is because unless we have it black and white in our face, I could guess that she's like just decided to leave her body early. You know, like it just I just
She's
don't.
she's like, "Can you watch this for a second?" And then she never comes to pick it
She
up
just
and
never
he's
came
like,
back. Shit. Yeah, no, so I
Shit."
just not to joke too morbidly, but or
Yeah,
make light
no,
of
that's
someone's
fair.
miserable
I'm
demise,
so
but
sorry.
let's just we're good on
Well,
conjecture. It can be a shorter episode. You don't have to feel that.
ah, oh, okay. Well, can I at least do a little bit of conjecture about the cigarettes because I find it really interesting. And I have like a whole theory that I wrote about how cigarettes are actually part of social currency and create and lull people into like a false sense of security. Can I just real quick, maybe? Like,
Real quick.
yay! All right. So, so his DNA was found on her, and his fingerprints were found on the cigarettes, like the Eves, like I mentioned earlier. Um, so I'm skipping over the stuff that's a bunch of conjecture. Um, so I suggested that his fingerprints and DNA might have gotten on the cigarettes if they had left the club together with the intent of sharing a smoke break. An activity that, like, say he is extremely rejection sensitive. So if she said no, perhaps gently, maybe firmly, this could have triggered a violent emotional response. Or perhaps while they were in the middle of having sex, some guys have what they call like they come and then like their mind completely clears and they call it like a post nut clarity or
This is
some
why I
shit.
don't conjecture.
But
No, no,
the
no.
reason why the cigarettes were so important is that cigarettes aren't just about nicotine. They're social currency.
I mean, that's true.
Smokers share space and they end up talking, and sometimes they're sharing stories, life events, secrets. No matter how brief the encounter, smokers are almost always friendly with each other. I mean, even today, a lot of workplaces give smokers 2 to 4 breaks per working shift to go outside and have a cigarette. I mean, you see
Not
so many of the
anymore.
same
Not
people.
in. Ugh.
No, no, even, you know what? In fucking 16 years old, I was working at a Pizza Hut within walking distance of my house. And I mean, at 16, that was, oh God, I can't do that math, 4 or 5 years ago. So 2020 was when I was 16. And I was bumming cigarettes from the 19-year-old cook and the 37-year-old manager that he was dating.
That's a pizza
Like,
restaurant, though. Like fast food is a little different. I guess I was thinking more professional workplaces,
I
office
mean,
buildings and such. They do
I've
not.
worked I've worked at the last 3 places I've worked have been a bank and 2 law firms. All of them offer you smoke
Huh,
breaks.
crazy. Because like any place I worked in the last, I would say 12 years was very not nice about that.
Maybe
Uh,
it's a state to state thing, but
it might
in
be.
Florida slash
Oh, it's
Georgia,
fucking Florida. Florida doesn't count.
well, and Georgia,
I'm gonna
Florida
say,
and
well,
Georgia.
I, I when I was in a more metropolitan area in Oklahoma in Tulsa, it became
Hmm.
very anti-smoking pretty fast. As soon as it was banned from all public spaces like bars and restaurants. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, if you smoked, like, ooh, they were shitty. They would not give you extra breaks. But, every place is different. I don't want to get hung up on that.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I was suggesting that it was used as a guise, very similar to like Ted Bundy, how he would put on like his lights, like he was had like
Oh,
a
yeah.
flat
I mean,
tire, or he would put on like a cast or something. I mean, what I am suggesting is that Sims, or maybe not on purpose even, but because of the pseudo. I always say pseudo for some reason. The pseudo intimacy, it's a that rapid situational closeness that mimics that true emotional connection but lacks the foundation of it. It's super common in nightlife settings. You can see it at clubs, raves, fucking anywhere that where young people are fucking, it's there. And those lower inhibitions and the sensory stimulation and those repetitive small rituals like smoking a cigarette or taking a shot with somebody else create fast and shallow bonds. And in the mind of a socially or emotionally unstable individual, that illusion of connection can be misinterpreted or exploited.
I mean,
The murder
yeah.
was most likely not planned, but once the situation escalated, I mean, he acted with the lethal intent and reasserted his dominance, leaving Jeanette strangled.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. It's just with
The
lack of
conjecture.
information. Yeah, it's just not something I typically do too much of simply because I'd hate to be wrong or make somebody uncomfortable with a conjecture because I don't have information the police are holding back, which is just so common in cold cases. It's frustrating. And
It
it,
is.
a little conjecture is okay. Because otherwise, why talk about it at all? But I just try and not get too crazy. But I mean, that's true about nightclubs and cigarettes and all of that. I agree with that. I think it was a crime of opportunity and he's some kind of sexual murder deviant.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. Unfortunately, I wish I had more information about the other case that he was arrested on, but for some reason, those records are fucking completely gone. And
Oh, and
then,
if it's anything post the digital age, things like fires,
mhm,
floods, and even just losing shit is so common that it can be really
so
frustrating
bad.
when researching cases.
It can be. Actually, my own medical records, anything from before I was 12, completely swept out by a flood. Fun
Yep.
fact.
My original, second marriage records were lost in a flooded basement in the Tulsa County Courthouse, which was very annoying when I tried to get my driver's license here because I've also had a name change and you need to have documentation backing up your old name. Your birth certificate name, mine was different from the name that I had just a fucking mess, you know? I ended up
Yeah,
getting it
no.
all taken care of, but man, that was a real annoyance.
Yeah. I mean,
So
even trying to change your name is a fucking nightmare. I've been
it
trying to get
is.
mine legally changed. I'm actually not gonna get it changed to Maddie. I'm gonna get it changed to Mattel because originally Maddie was short for Matthew, but I just don't feel aligned with Matthew, and I for some reason love Mattel
You do
because
whatever
my
you
other
want.
option,
And
yeah,
if
my
you
other
want to
option's
know
Matilda.
how to
Ugh.
do a name change, message me later because I know how to do it fast, easy, and free.
Well, that's not okay. One, are you going to suggest that I marry someone? And two,
No,
actually, fun fact, in the
that's
state of
not free.
Florida and the state of Georgia, you have to put an ad in the paper that you are going to
Yes,
be changing your name
it costs
for some fucking
$25. And
reason.
it's public notice in case you're trying to escape creditors. Old
Oh,
law, and it's always been that way. No, to do it, if anybody's wondering, you're gonna check your state laws, but most states have what's called a pauper's affidavit. Most of us fall into that category because no one has money anymore. You fill that out, you get the name change for free, and you pay $25 to have a public notice put in the paper. You don't have to do it yourself. The courthouse will do it for you. That's it. That's how I got mine.
wow.
How I got Maris's too. You go
Well,
before a
shit.
judge.
Okay.
You go before a judge, and they say why you're changing your name, and you can say because I wanna. That's why. And they go, okay. And then it's done. There you go.
Man, I really should have known about Forma Pauperis. I was literally just learning about that at my new job today. Also,
Pauper's
good news,
affidavit.
guys. I got a new job at a new law
Congrats.
firm. Yay.
So I don't
And I'm
have
not even
business. I have to wrap it up because I am getting a stink eye currently. Um,
from who?
oh, I have someone came to the door and I've got to take care of something. I don't know
Oh.
what's going on. Um, but I don't have any business time other than join our Discord and show me your dog or your cat or whatever creature you have and what you made for dinner because I like these kind of things. And I don't have Facebook anymore, so I need memes.
Yes. And then also we're sorry. Subscribe to the Patreon. Um, send us money. Please send us money. And
Stop.
that's it.
No more e-begging today.
I
But yeah,
mean,
hey, I love you guys very much. Thank you for your constant support. And if all you can do to support the podcast is listen, that's good enough. And I thank you
yeah.
kindly.
Yes, we do thank you. Because everybody counts and we love all of you and you're like our little babies, but that's another topic for another time. But look out on the Patreon for new episodes
We're
and
working on them.
yeah, we working on them. I have scripts written. We just haven't had
Same.
time to record in between stuff.
Sorry, y'all. I'm dying.
Yeah,
Okay,
Lillian's
but
sick. I started a new job. We're life transitioning, but that's okay. Everybody goes through life stuff.
yes. Now say goodbye, Maddie.
I'm saying goodbye, Maddie. Bye.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Lee.